stars, we are so relieved that Kate Middleton is back on the scene as of Trooping of the Color, and perhaps we'll see her again at Wimbledon, one of her favorite events to attend annually. Back in April of 2011, the Daily Mail has a section called Female that discussed how Kate Middleton became the Princess of Wales, Catherine, that we know and respect today. Forging of a Princess, how generations of steely social climbing matriarchs shaped Kate Middleton's character. The corporate clients loved her, especially the way she always seemed to be showing off her slender legs in tight blue shorts as she served gin and tonics and lunch. She was working as a deckhand on 72-foot sailing boats in the Solent, looking after important clients for the mighty companies like Barclays, BT, Nokia, Toshiba, and Volkswagen. The year was 2001, and everyone referred to the tall, slim girl earning £40 a day as Beautiful Kate. This was Catherine Middleton at 19, doing her first, and some might waspishly say, her only real job. Her boss during these 3 months of her gap year between leaving fee-paying Marlborough College and going up to St. Andrews University was former round-the-world yachtsman Sir Che Blythe. Most of the talk about her concerned her very tight shorts. Chortles Sir Che, 70, who ran the Southampton-based hospitality business. She was an attractive girl who never allowed herself to be distracted by the comments and got on with her job. We had other girls, mainly students, working as corporate crew members. Some of them were a pain in the arse, complaining about this and that, but Kate was not one of them. Right? She got along to get along, where some other women might take advantage of the salty talk for their own gain, and other women might complain or argue. There are always going to be people who make the choice to fawn, to, oh, that's so, oh, what a quirky guy. But, you know, it's your job. We all have done that dance of getting along with people who, and wearing outfits that, because we need our £40 a day. You know what it is. Kate's official uniform was a navy blue jacket and polo shirt, but like all the girls, she had to provide her own black or navy shorts. She was a very pleasant, good-looking girl with long, curly hair. She was competent, she did her job, but the thing about her that stood out was her legs and those shorts. One of the skippers recalls how she was lusted after by male deckhands, but was very adept at turning down their advances. She was a very pleasant, good-looking girl with long, curly hair, said the skipper for whom Kate worked on a yacht sponsored by the insurance company CGU. She was competent, she did her job, but the thing that stood out was her legs and those shorts. Oh. There were all kinds of shenanigans among the girls who came down to work on corporate hospitality days, but a lot of going out and a lot of drinking, although Kate was a bit more reserved than some of the others. On the boat, it was a case of, Kate, please scrub the floors. But sometimes it was, Kate, would you mind not standing by that hatch when you're serving, because it's a bit revealing for everyone below deck. Another crew member said Kate seemed rather prudish compared to the other girls, and because of it they played a joke on her. A dozen corporate male guests had filed aboard the boat, and her job was to demonstrate how to use a life jacket. It was rolled up, and as she opened it, half a dozen prophylactics fell out. The laughter was uproarious, but Kate was not amused. She was horribly embarrassed and went bright pink, says the crewman.
In retrospect, it may have been rather cruel. She didn't find it funny at all. The guys would take her out for a drink, and they all wanted to be with her. But I got the strong impression she was the kind of girl who was saving herself for the right man. Who would have thought that it would turn out to be the future king?
There was, however, one dalliance that continues to intrigue the old salts who worked on the 18 berth vessels at Ocean Village Marina. The lucky man was Ian Henry, who was also working as a deckhand before going up to Oxford. He achieved what the others could only dream of. He went out with her, and they even went on holiday together later that summer to the Caribbean. Henry, now 30, from Taunton, Somerset, and these days skippering luxury yachts owned by millionaires in the Caribbean, confirms only that they were
very good friends.
And perhaps that is all there was to it, for there is a continuing theme to Catherine Middleton's pre-William life, which is just, as the ex-skipper suggests, that she was keeping herself for the man she would marry. Her years at co-ed Marlborough were marked by what other girls saw as her reserve in relation to boys. Hers was quite an old-fashioned approach, especially at Marlborough, where half the girls were already engaging in activities, says a contemporary. Although she had a couple of innocent snogs, she never had a boyfriend while at school. She just wasn't willing to experiment like the other girls. I got the distinct impression that Catherine was the kind of girl who wanted to save herself for someone special. She had enough strength of character not to care if the other girls thought her prudish. At the same time, the teenage Kate was keeping a close watch on her own changing body. An entry in her school yearbook jokingly refers to her obsession and how she kept squinting down her top, screaming, "They're growing!" Who does that? And who does it so other people can hear it? If you think it, I mean, unless you're like trying to be funny to your friends, what? I mean, I think we see that whoever wrote this article was writing what they were told to write. This is Jeffrey Levy for Mail Online and Richard Kay. Oh, our old friend Richard Kay. This does not seem like a true story about a real young woman. They're growing. Come on. That alone illustrates the change in Kate from the timorous and uncertain girl who spent 2 miserable terms at exclusive down house where she learned how to be a bully. Where she was bullied before being summarily whipped away by her mother and placed in Marlborough as a boarder. Much has already been said, wrongly, about the bullying that day girl Kate undoubtedly suffered at Down House, largely at the hands of boarders who made up 90% of the girls. In fact, the bullying was not physical, but a form of mental cruelty more commonly found at girls' schools than boys, right? Training camp for how to be a bully, how to shatter someone's confidence, how to intimidate them with your lips pursed and with a half smile, and then go crying and playing victim. Oh, shout out to any of my alums of all girls' schools, all female dorm floors at college, all feminine workplaces, right? It doesn't have to be just women, but anyone who is feminine identified knows the encyclopedia of passive aggressiveness and sad fishing, right? They're going to go in the dorm room, use up all your expensive body care products, use your hairbrush, your comb, your towel. And when you get in the ass about it, they're going to cry to the RA, she doesn't like me. Keep your hands off my ish. You know who you are. Anyway, in fact, it has been suggested, for example, that girls put feces in her bed. Wow.
There are a couple of rumors I would like to quash,
Says a boarder while Kate was there who knew her well.
Our future queen never took communal showers after games, and nobody put anything disgusting in her bed. Certainly I didn't do it. I mean, how could they? She wasn't a boarder. Anybody who has been to a girls' public school will know that people don't push each other around in the playground as boys do. With young girls, just a look can metaphorically kill. We all experienced those glances, and some of us were more susceptible to it than others, especially if they were different, poor, commoner, middle class, too big. And Kate was taller than most of the other girls and quieter. Being in the minority as a day girl may be the crucial factor in why Kate felt ostracized. Neither outgoing nor forthcoming at the time, I believe Catherine considered herself an outsider. You never saw her smile. I didn't envy her short brown bob, her boyish figure, nor her eczema. Oh, but I'm not being a bully. I'm just telling you what I recall about my favorite person when I was at Down House with her, giving her dirty looks, excluding her at the lunch table, snickering at her shoes, her handbag. But when it came to height and sportiness, she was lucky. A scholarship student. I still find it hard to understand that in her year group of more than 100 girls, she did not find a single kindred spirit, not even on the lacrosse pitch, where she was at home. What remains intriguing is that Kate's removal from Down House is always referred to as something her mother did, rather than her parents. Carol Middleton, the daughter of a haulage contractor and builder, and, through her mother, with deep, impoverished roots in the coal mining Northeast, has always been seen by friends as the engine of the family. When her parents first married, they lived under her grandmother's roof, as they couldn't afford their own home. Carol, who was born in Perryvale Maternity Hospital, spent her early years in a council flat, that means housing project in British, and went to the local state school. I've always thought there was something very similar to Sherry Blair about Carol, says one of her relatives. She's anxious to better herself and to make sure she is financially secure. You only get that when you're born with nothing. She is ambitious, very ambitious for her family, and why not? It didn't surprise me at all to read that she and Mike are now looking at country houses in the £5 million bracket, when here's they no longer live in that home, but they rent it out, allegedly. Kate's father, Michael's more relaxed approach to life is put down to his coming from a long line of professional people. That means workers. His father, Peter, was a senior BOAC pilot who sat alongside Prince Philip as co-pilot, as William's grandfather took the controls for most of a 2-month tour of South Africa. In 1962, colonialism must march on! But Carol is responsible for the huge and growing success of Party Pieces, the family's online shop, which all started when she sat down at her kitchen table to earn money by making goodie bags, which she sold to her friends. Now, how much volume did that business ever do? How much money can you earn making goodie bags and selling gift boxes and cake making kits and all of that? In America, those items, that business, it's Party City, it's the dollar store, whether it's Dollar Tree, Dollar King, 99-cent store, Dollar General, Family Dollar, dollar stores, where the business is volume. Did Party Pieces ever have a warehouse, that level of distribution? And Uncle Gary said that his sister was reluctant to make the business an online business. So what are the facts of the matter?
And like so many businesses that have a business name, a business account, whether their sales are online or cash, it becomes often a way to move money through a business and through banks and report all of that activity as legitimate income, if you get my meaning. Were there that many customers? Where are all the British people saying, if it wasn't for party pieces, I couldn't have made it to the grocery store or the discount store to get the party plates and balloons to have my 4-year-old's birthday party with her preschool friends? Like, where are the people who are saying, no, it has to be party pieces? Were they especially nice, disposable party decorations and utensils and items? Were they handmade and luxurious? I don't understand how this business was, quote, successful at any point without doing the hard work of sourcing the stuff, probably overseas, like a Walmart, and then promoting and selling the stuff, fulfilling it. It doesn't translate into a $5 million estate with the upkeep, the taxes, the staff, and that's perhaps why it's being rented out now, right? The getting was good, and then maybe people were looking a little too closely. Sure, competition from Amazon and the other dollar businesses, but again, how did they ever achieve that level of success? Was it successful? Or was it business loans and hype and doing things with the books? And then James Middleton repeated that times two bankruptcies as opposed to his parents' one. So has Kate, now 29, inherited her mother's social ambition and determination? The evidence of the famous breakup in 2007, when William dumped her for several weeks, suggested that she has. Until then, she had been so certain of an imminent engagement that in January 2007, she confided to friends at Jigsaw, the high street clothing company owned by friends of her parents, where she was briefly an accessories buyer, that a formal announcement was to be made by Clarence House the following month. Excitedly, they mocked up a $20 note replacing the Queen's head with Kate's, and underneath it the words, HRH, Katie. They left it on her desk, and she loved it. She and William had discussed engagement at length, and he had assured her that things would be formalized within weeks, says a friend of Kate. The fact that Kate, normally so discreet, felt confident enough to mention this shows how sure she was that she would be wearing a ring then and not several years later. Well, it had already been 10 years. 10. Not 1, not 2, 10. That's where the phrase Waity Katie came from. And it is interesting to note how this article really whitewashes the behavior in the dorms, the behavior that wasn't just, I'm saving myself for marriage and I'm keeping my trousers up and my skirts down. If we'll follow up about that. But there have been published articles by the dozen about the behavior, and it's not the behavior that's in this article. Everyone was young once, right? At the same time, she said it would mean a lengthy engagement because no wedding date had been discussed. That, though, should have set alarm bells ringing for her because the royals do not have long engagements. The impact of the split after 4 years together was little short of catastrophic for her, yet she managed to retain her poise and control and hid her disappointment with laughing nights out, allowing herself to be seen with other men and photographed by the paparazzi, something William hated. But she kept the 20-pound note. In that post-engagement television interview in November, she admitted that she had been not very happy about the split, but added that it made me a stronger person. In saying that, she has touched on a fascinating aspect of her story, and indeed the story of her family itself. For what emerges when you study the previous generations is that Kate's character has been forged by a matriarchal lineage which has always displayed an extraordinary resilience and social ambition. Take Kate's great-grandmother, Elizabeth Lily Harrison, a woman who refused to allow her husband, Tom's, early job as a coal miner to prevent her from being the most fashionable inhabitant of the workaday Durham village of Spennymoor. She was known in her family as the Duchess. It was she who initiated the momentous chain of events that have led to her great-granddaughter being on the brink of becoming the future queen, surely one of the most extraordinary examples of social mobility of our times. Aunt Lily wore fancy skirts and dresses, and when the new look arrived, inspired by Christian Dior in 1947, she instantly took to it, with its longer hem and fitted waist, says her niece Shirley Beadle, who was very close to the family and played with their daughter Dorothy, Carol Middleton's late mother, now living in a neat bungalow in the old mining town of Bishop Auckland. Mrs. Beadle recalls, everything about Aunt Lily had to match, from her gloves to her lipstick. She was a good seamstress and copy all the styles from the women's magazines and sell the clothes to make some extra money. Doesn't this story offer fascinating parallels with her entrepreneurial granddaughter Carol, who bettered herself in much the same way? Lily, daughter of a corporation gardener, worked in a dress shop in Durham City, and it was she who pushed her husband into giving up his life in the pit to retrain as a carpenter before they moved down south in search of a better life. Migrants. Lily and Tom, together with their daughter Dorothy, settled into a rundown flat in Southall, Middlesex, overlooking a canal. And when Dorothy met and married a man named Ron Goldsmith, the couple lived with them until Carol was born in 1955. As an only daughter, it's perhaps no surprise that Dorothy, a shop assistant, was recognized in the family as very like her mother, clothes-conscious, domineering, and referred to as Lady Dorothy, with a particular aversion to being called Dot. Kate's grandfather Ron, on the other hand, who eventually owned his own haulage business, does that mean garbage truck or trucking, continued the family tradition of husbands being rather mild and easygoing. Coming down a further generation, friends of Carol and Michael Middleton describe Michael today as an unassuming though amusing man, while his wife is the driving force in their financial success. It was to please her that he bought a share in a racehorse, Sohrab, that has run at Ascot and Longchamp near Paris. Significantly, he gave up his own modest job as a flight dispatcher with British Airways to concentrate on the company founded by his former air hostess wife. Through force of will, Carol has made it into a multi-million-pound success story. We know now, in 2024, that business has been bankrupt for years. So was it ever a multi-million-pound success story, or was it something else? An Ozark something else? Question mark. How very different, though, their life is now from what it was when Michael had to uproot his family in 1984 and move them for 2 years to Jordan, where he had been posted as the BA manager, British Airways manager, in charge of operations at Amman Airport. So what kind of things happen at airports? They are very lucrative places to work, and a lot of things go on at airports. Manager in charge of operations at Amman Airport. It was a promotion, but not into the managerial stratosphere, because there were only 4 British Airways flights a day between Amman and London. At the time, Kate was 2 and her sister Pippa 8 months. They lived in a rented 3-bedroom villa, and Carol and the 2 children frequently flew home, using the special staff discounted rates. Mike Middleton was even alone in Jordan one Christmas, right? These were working class people with a young family struggling, taking discount ticketed flights back and forth to their homeland, working as migrants. Let's be very clear. How and where did this family get the money to send all 3 children to private school? I'm assuming James went too, because Pippa and Kate both went to private school, right? In the UK, they call it public school, and there was some legislation that made it necessary to admit people who were not posh into those schools. They mentioned how athletic Kate was. Did she, in fact, matriculate at School 1 and School 2 on athletic scholarships? You cannot hardly find any discussion of the economics of affording day school, boarding school, any of it, college, the access and the presence to get in front of William in that see-through fashion runway dress and to stay connected to him in his social circle. How did it happen if your parents were so strapped for cash that Mike Middleton spent Christmas alone in Jordan one year? The period in the family's lives is notable for one element, which is likely to be very useful to the wife of an heir to the throne, whose duties will bring her into contact with foreign dignitaries. After turning 3 in Amman in 1985, Kate was enrolled in a local nursery, the Al-Sahara Kindergarten, and there she learned nursery rhymes in Arabic as well as English. Every morning, Kate recited Ame Mansour, Uncle Mansour, and Kams Batat, 5 ducks. She was also taught to say the colors and to count in Arabic. Indeed, she was able to sing Happy Birthday in Arabic before she could sing it in English. Intriguingly, she was also taught physical exercises by an instructor specially hired from the Japanese embassy because of that country's famously disciplined fitness regimes. Fitness has been a crucial part of Kate's makeup ever since. So equally is the single-mindedness that has come down to her through a succession of family matriarchs, and which has probably been the most important characteristic keeping her and William together. After all, in that first term at St. Andrews, when William felt so unhappy he wanted to leave, it was Kate who persuaded him to carry on. At that stage, they were not yet an item, and one is entitled to wonder whether there might have been an ulterior motive in her persuading him to stay. But the fact is she succeeded, and he stayed on, switching from her own subject, history of art, to geography. This may well have been the first time he looked at her with romantic eyes, for he definitely found her strength of character, the product, so it seems, of those generations of strong women, very attractive. And then, the following term, there she was, displaying her physical charms on the catwalk in that famous diaphanous dress. Yes. 6 years later, when William wobbled about settling down too soon and the split occurred, she showed the same determined spirit, and back he came. Is that really how it happened? It seems like there were some other things going on in William's private life during the years in question. And we've explored in other posts who those other people were and what may have issued from those very special relationships. But this was definitely an interesting version of events in Kate Middleton's life. And here we are in 2024, wondering, what's going to happen from here. Is Kate going to stick with it? Is she stepping back from public life? Is this the end or the beginning of a marital separation? Is it the end or the beginning of the couple's trajectory to becoming king and queen consort of the United Kingdom? Is it the beginning of Kate-Xit, right? Kate exiting in a very different but yet similar way to Meghan Markle, right? You can't take it anymore. There's no path forward. Maybe the firm wants you to go. Maybe you're not going to go quietly. Maybe you're not going to go until you get what you want. Is that what the last 6 months of sick out before Trooping the Color came down to? Are we seeing the real, actual Kate in the carriage, on the balcony? People are asking questions. But if Kate is healthy and alive and making adult woman choices without duress, then we are thrilled for her to have come through all of those questions, all of that drama, all of that digital art of her, and all of the rain, right? Can you stand the rain? Is this the best part of their marriage, or is this the rain part of her marriage? Let me know what you think in the comments, stars.